Let's bring in Democratic Congresswoman Summer Lee of Pennsylvania. She is a member of the House Oversight Committee. The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed now former Attorney General Pam Bondi to come before the committee. We thought she was going to come, but then she let word be known that she is not coming. And Forbes has this headline from this week: Democrats threaten Pam Bondi with contempt after she backs out of Epstein testimony. There's a Hill headline that says Mace calls for Bondi to testify in Epstein files probe or be held in contempt. If you hold her in contempt, that gets referred to the Department of Justice. How confident are you that even if the committee does hold her in contempt, that DOJ will actually follow through with it?
So just to backtrack a second, I didn't think that she wasn't going to come. If folks remember from our fake hearing briefing that she came to, and she told us that she would not commit there, right? So it was very clear to us there that that Comer was trying to help her get out of having to appear before our committee in regards to the subpoena. As for how this contempt could go, from what I understand is that there actually are two routes. There is civil contempt and there's criminal contempt. Criminal contempt goes directly to the DOJ, which, of course, she used to be the head of. Civil contempt is actually a different route. So I think that what would happen now is our committee would look at what the best options are here. What are the options that might get us closer to some justice, recognizing that the way that Trump's Department of Justice has conducted itself so far does not leave confidence for us to think that they'll do this any sort of an honorable investigation on their own people.
In August of last year, former Attorney General Barr testified, had a meeting with the Oversight Committee about Epstein. Bondi saying she's not going to do it because she's no longer the current AG. That is what the DOJ has said. But there's already precedent to go to former attorneys general who were around when Epstein investigations, or at least documents from what should have been investigations, were in the possession of the DOJ in former administrations. What does that tell you about how Pam Bondi is viewing this?
There's precedent now, not just for a former attorney general. There's precedent for a former president to come before us or be held in contempt. For a former Department of State, a Secretary of State, to come before us. She's looking for excuses because she thinks that there are some people out in the public who will accept them. But we know that that's not true. The subpoena did not call for the current attorney general. It named her specifically. And it named her specifically because of her handling of the Epstein files, the Epstein investigation, and her lack of responsiveness to both the Epstein Files Transparency Act and the subpoena that we secured the committee back in August. So, I think she's being incredibly arrogant. I think that that's how she's been moving this entire time. I think that she is being very disrespectful of the processes that are laid forth, not just in the legislative branch, but also the executive branch. But I imagine that's why she doesn't have a job anymore.
Nope.
And Congresswoman, before we are out of time, I want to ask you about the breaking news last night. Sexual assault allegations against Eric Swalwell, your Democratic colleague in the House. I'm wondering if you have a response to these allegations that have now emerged, and whether or not you think that the congressman should drop out of the California gubernatorial race and resign from his position in Congress.
So I've seen, or at least read, some of these allegations, and it is incredibly disappointing and discouraging and heinous. And to be very clear, in times, his career is less of my worry. These women, these survivors, these victims, their healing is important to us. And I think that sometimes we need to recenter that one would hope that where allegations like this come up, that the person would do the right thing, but then they didn't do the right thing in the first place. If these are credible. So, I think it's incredibly troubling. And it does make me think more about what we are doing here around the Epstein files, why we are fighting so diligently for them to be released. It's because we want to create a world where women feel confident that they can come forward and that there will be accountability, where perpetrators no longer feel that their power would put them in a position where they could even ever feel that they'll be able to get away with something like that. And the only way that we are able to create that world is if we create, support, and reinforce the mechanisms for accountability. So I look and I believe that there should be, of course, a full investigation. Of course, this should be taken seriously. Because this is a man who is now in a position of power and is seeking more. So, yeah, I'm 100% for accountability, for transparency, for responsibility, and also for the support systems for all the women who have come forward.
But, Congresswoman, should he drop out of the race at the very least while this, whatever investigation, whoever needs to look into it, should do that? Should he be the standard bearer?
I do not believe that it is possible for him to move forward and honor whatever investigation would go forward. This is going to be a very painful moment for the people who have come forward. And if he is still running for governor, I don't believe that that would be respectful of this process. So no, I don't think that he should continue on.
Congresswoman Summer Lee, thank you very much for coming on The Weekend.